This long-awaited and much-needed bill takes a responsible approach. It introduces serious new safeguards to protect people from falling prey to gambling addiction, while also balancing the freedom to enjoy responsible gambling. This bill provides a clearer framework for operators and for consumers. Under the legislation, a new dedicated body is being established to carry out these licensing and regulatory functions. It has taken time to bring forward this legislation, but as we have seen with the introduction of any major national public health initiative, from a workplace smoking ban to Minister McEntee recently published alcohol licensing bill, it is important to deal with the full spectrum of considerations and ensure that we get it right. There are, of course, many people in our country who enjoy a bet and for whom it's part of their social life, but we must also acknowledge and safeguard against the truly awful impact that gambling addiction can and does have on some people, families and communities. I believe that with this bill, we're taking an important step forward in promoting responsible behaviour on the part of both the gambling industry and consumers through robust regulations. Crucially, the legislation ensures that the authority will have significant enforcement powers to penalise those who break the rules. Even more importantly, those seeking to tackle problem gambling behaviours or addiction will be directed towards the help they need through built-in mechanisms like an exclusionary register and other safeguards. The Social Impact Fund, funded from the industry, will support initiatives to reduce and eliminate compulsive and excessive gambling. Overall, I believe that Minister Brown has achieved the right balance with this legislation. I look forward to its enactment and to seeing the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland up and running next year. When gambling becomes a problem for an individual or a family, the impact can be absolutely devastating. The steps we are taking today to recognise and help protect against that damage is, as I've said, important work.
First century. The bill sets out the framework for a robust regulatory and licensing regime for the gambling sector. At the heart of the bill is the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland, an independent body equipped to enforce regulation of the gambling sector. The bill will ensure that the authority can appropriately, meaningfully and swiftly respond to ongoing and future developments in the gambling sector. The authority will have an important role of setting the parameters within which the industry operates. In September of this year, Ms. Anne-Marie Caulfield was appointed CEO designate of the authority. Ms. Caulfield is working closely with my department to identify staffing and resourcing needs and to develop procedures for how the authority will function once it's operational. Ms. Caulfield's ongoing preparatory work in parallel with the passage of gambling regulation laws will ensure that the authority will be ready to hit the ground running once it is formally established. Strict regulation of gambling advertising will be a priority area for the authority. Under the legislation, advertising intended to appeal to children and advertising that promotes excessive or compulsive gambling will be prohibited. A watershed prohibiting gambling advertising at certain times of the day between 5:30 a.m. and 9 p.m. will be introduced. In this digital age, to address the particular proliferation of gambling advertising on social media, such advertising will be prohibited by default. The bill will allow the authority to prescribe the times, places and events where gambling advertising can be broadcast, displayed or published. The authority will be able to specify the frequency which advertising can be broadcast, the duration of advertisements and the amount of advertisements that can be shown.